The hunter was far from camp when the sky cracked open. A jagged white line ripped from the clouds and struck a dead tree on the ridge. The sound hit him a heartbeat later, a roar so loud it shook the ground. The tree exploded into flame. The hunter dropped to his knees. He had seen fire before. He had made fire, but this fire came from nowhere. It came from the sky. And in that moment, a new question entered the human mind. Not what did that, but who? What made early humans believe in gods? The answer starts with a lightning bolt, a dead tree, and a mind that could not accept that anything this powerful was an accident. For millions of years, our ancestors lived without religion. They hunted, they gathered, they slept, they died. There was no temple, no prayer, no afterlife. The world was simply the world, dangerous, beautiful, and indifferent. But at some point, roughly 70,000 to 100,000 years ago, something changed. The human brain had grown large enough to ask a terrifying question. Why? Why did the lightning strike that tree and not this one? Why did the river flood and destroy the camp? Why did the child die in the night, healthy one day and cold the next? The answers were not yet scientific. They were personal. If the world acted with force and intention, then someone must be behind it. The elder, sitting by the fire, was the first to give that someone a name. Not a name like Kushim on a clay tablet, a feeling, a presence. He told the hunter that the lightning was not a thing. It was a being, a great spirit in the sky. It was angry tonight. That was why the tree burned. The hunter listened. He remembered the sound. He remembered how small he felt, and the idea took root. This was the first religion, a world full of spirits. Every river had a spirit. Every storm, every cave, every animal they killed had to be thanked, or its spirit would return and haunt them. The gatherer, when she picked berries, whispered to the bush, not because she was foolish, because she believed the bush had a spirit that would withhold fruit if she was greedy. The artist painted the animals on the cave walls, not just to record them, but to speak to them, to honor them, to ask their permission before the next hunt. This early belief system is called animism, the idea that everything, living or not, has a soul. It was not a primitive mistake. It was a brilliant, intuitive way of explaining a world that was uncontrollable. The lightning was a god throwing a spear. The earthquake was a giant shifting in his sleep. The eclipse was a demon swallowing the sun. The stories were wrong, but the instinct behind them was deeply human. We needed the world to have a face so we could talk to it, so we could beg it, so we could make deals. And if the world had spirits, then someone had to talk to them. That was the elder, or rather, that was the shaman. In every early human group, one person was marked as different. They saw visions. They heard voices. They might have been what we now call schizophrenic, or simply deeply sensitive. The band could have feared them. Instead, they made them the bridge between the human and the spirit world. The shaman danced until they collapsed. They chewed bitter plants and saw the gods. They painted their body with ochre and wore the skins of the dead. They were the first priests, the first doctors, the first storytellers. And when the hunter returned empty-handed, the shaman told him the spirit of the deer was offended. They had killed too many. A ritual must be performed, a dance, an offering, a sacrifice. The child watched all of this with wide eyes. She did not understand why her father painted his face. She only knew that when he did, the deer came back. The ritual worked, or seemed to. And so religion became not just belief, but action, a set of rules, a way of controlling the uncontrollable. The most powerful evidence we have for early religion is not a painting or a tool. It is a grave. At sites like Sungir in Russia, dating back 34,000 years, we find bodies buried with extraordinary care. A man covered in thousands of mammoth ivory beads, each one taking hours to carve. A child buried with a crown of fox teeth. These were not practical objects. They were offerings, messages to a world after this one. The gatherer, when her own child died, did not simply leave the body in the forest. She dug a shallow grave. She placed a favorite shell necklace around the cold neck. She laid a small carved bird on the chest. She was not just grieving, she was preparing. The child was going somewhere, and that somewhere needed provisions. This is the birth of the afterlife. The first time a human looked at death and said, "This is not the end." Religion did not start with a book. It did not start with a prophet or a temple. It started with a lightning bolt, a frightened hunter, and a mind that could not accept meaninglessness. It started with the gatherer thanking a bush, the shaman dancing in the firelight, the artist painting a bison on a cave wall, the elder whispering to the sky. They were not stupid. They were not lying. They were trying to understand. And everything we believe today day, every prayer, every ritual, every hope that there is something more, began in that prehistoric camp, under a dangerous sky, with a question that has never gone away. If you had lived 50,000 years ago, what do you think you would have believed in? What spirit would you have prayed to? Tell me below. I read every answer.